the pace of AI development, it just
Yeah.
feels relentless, doesn't it? I mean, every single week there's something new models, new rules, things popping up in the real world you didn't expect.
Yeah, it's a lot. And trying to stay genuinely informed, like really know what's going on without just getting overwhelmed, that's tough.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Yeah.
is why we're doing this. Think of this deep dive as your uh, shortcut, your briefing on what actually matters right now.
We're boiling it down, taking the key stuff from the fire hose of information.
Right. So today, we're zeroing in on August 2025. We picked 3 big stories that really stood out. First up, those new AI safety guidelines from the U.S. government, kind of setting a baseline.
Then there's NVIDIA. They dropped a huge new model, Nemotron 5. We need to unpack that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And finally, something maybe a bit less headline-grabbing, but honestly, potentially revolutionary. AI in agriculture. Some really transformative stuff happening there.
And our whole goal here is to, pull out the core insights, maybe some surprising bits, and connect the dots for you. It's not just what happened, but really why it's important, why it matters for you.
Okay, let's kick things off then. U.S. AI safety guidelines, August 2nd. The White House drops this new framework. What's the main thrust here?
Well, what's really interesting, I think, is the focus on critical infrastructure. That seems to be the core. It's telling federal agencies, hey, if you're using AI in the energy grid or in healthcare systems, you need to do serious risk assessments.
Okay, so high-stakes areas.
Exactly. Places where, if something goes wrong with the AI, the consequences could be pretty severe. It's about trying to build in safety from the ground up in these vital sectors.
And it's more than just thinking about risks, right? I saw there are actual requirements.
Oh, yeah. Mandates for transparency reports and third-party audits for anything deemed high risk. And there's a deadline, January 2026, for compliance.
So it has teeth. It's not just suggestions.
Right. It's a concrete requirement. And this didn't come out of nowhere. It builds on recommendations from that bipartisan AI task force back in July. And importantly, it looks like an attempt to align U.S. federal policy with the big one, the EU's AI Act, which interestingly just took effect the day before, August 1st.
Ah, okay. So we're seeing this global trend towards regulation kind of converging.
Seems like it. The EU Act sets rules based on risk levels, and now the U.S. federal government is moving in a maybe similar direction, at least for its own agencies.
Interesting. I saw a post on X from Policy Tech, actually, on August 2nd. They were saying, good proactive step. Yeah. But they also flagged this potential issue, overlap with state laws. Is that a real concern?
Oh, that's a great point. And yeah, I'd say it's more than just a wrinkle. It's potentially a big challenge.
Right.
We see this in other regulatory areas, right? You get federal rules, then state rules, and sometimes they don't quite mesh. It can create confusion, maybe loopholes, or just make it harder for companies operating across state lines.
So this framework is a good step towards some kind of cohesive U.S. approach, but the actual effectiveness, it hinges on sorting out that federal-state stuff and, clear enforcement.
Absolutely. Implementation and coordination are key. Otherwise, you risk a patchwork system. But, for the listener, the bigger picture here is trust. If the AI used in your power grid or your hospital records becomes more vetted, more transparent, that builds confidence even if you don't see the regs directly.
That makes sense. Foundational trust, which is crucial when you think about how powerful these AI systems are getting. And speaking of power, NVIDIA, Nemotron 5. That landed early August too, right? August 3rd?
Yep. And it's a monster, technologically speaking. It's an open source model, which is significant in itself. And it has, get this, 800 billion parameters.
800 billion, wow. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means it can handle incredibly complex tasks. It's optimized for things like reasoning, writing code, and multimodal stuff. So understanding text, images, maybe other data types altogether. It allows for much more sort of nuanced understanding.
And the performance. I saw some numbers that looked pretty impressive.
They are. It scored 98% on the MMLU benchmark. That's the massive multitask language understanding test. Basically measures knowledge across tons of subjects.
Okay, 98%. That's top tier, isn't it? Up there with the best commercial models?
Exactly. It's matching Anthropic's Claude 4.6 on that benchmark, which is saying something. Plus, there's an efficiency claim 20% more energy efficient than its predecessor, according to Hugging Face. That's also pretty important.
Efficiency is definitely key. And are we seeing it used anywhere yet? Or is it still mostly theoretical power?
No, there are applications. VentureBeat mentioned its use in autonomous vehicles, apparently improving navigation accuracy by something like 15%.
Okay, 15%. That's not trivial. That's a real-world safety improvement.
Right. It shows that jump from raw power to practical benefit. And strategically, this follows NVIDIA's earlier Llama Nemotron release in March. It also fits this broader trend we're seeing, like with IBM, towards models that are not just big, but also efficient and maybe more specialized. So it's powerful, it's efficient, it's open source, which sounds great for innovation. I saw a tech innovator on X celebrating that accessibility. But doesn't that open source part also feel like a bit of a, well, a double-edged sword?
That's the core tension right now, isn't it? I mean,
Wow.
absolutely. Putting a model this capable out there for anyone to use, it absolutely speeds up innovation, democratizes access to cutting-edge tech. We're seeing like an open source arms race.
Yeah.
But then you have the flip side. At Green AI raised concerns, rightly, about the environmental cost of training these huge models. That's immense. And then there's the potential for misuse. If anyone can download and fine-tune this, what happens in sectors with less regulation?
Right.
Or by actors with bad intentions?
Right. It's that classic dilemma, innovation versus control, progress versus responsibility. How do you strike that balance when the tools are this powerful and this accessible?
It's a massive question for the whole field, and honestly, I don't think anyone has the perfect answer yet. It forces us collectively to think about whether we're truly ready for this level of democratized AI power. Okay, shifting gears a bit, but maybe still connected to that theme of practical impact. Let's talk agriculture. August 1st, Reuters had a report on a new John Deere platform using AI. Sounds like a potential game changer.
It really does. They're using computer vision. So AI analyzing images and predictive analytics. And the results they're talking about are significant. Optimizing crop yields, obviously, but also cutting pesticide use by 18%.
18% reduction in pesticides. Wow. That's a big environmental win alongside the efficiency.
Huge. And they're layering in other tech too. Satellite data, IoT sensors out in the fields.
Right.
Basically getting real-time data on soil health, moisture levels, you name it.
That's incredibly precise farming. And they have results already.
Yeah, they mentioned a pilot project in Brazil boosted soybean yields by 12%.
12%. That's substantial, especially when you scale it up globally.
Exactly. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. You look at initiatives like India's AI mission, they're specifically targeting agriculture as a key area for AI development. So it's part of a much bigger global push.
Makes sense. Food security is such a fundamental challenge. But like with Nemotron 5, there are other considerations, right? I saw at Agritech Now praising the efficiency, but then at Eco Advocate jumped in, warning about data privacy for farmers.
That's a critical point. When you digitize the entire farm operation, soil data, yield data, operational data, who owns that information? How is it used? How is it protected?
Right, and farmers might be generating huge amounts of valuable data without fully realizing it or controlling it.
Precisely. And this isn't a niche concern. Exploding Topics says something like 83% of agricultural companies see AI as a priority now. You've got other players like Bayer using similar tech to cut water usage by 10%. The potential benefits are undeniable. Better yields, less waste, more sustainable practices. But TechTarget emphasizes this too. Secure data handling is absolutely crucial. It just highlights that tension, again, solving big problems like food security with tech, while simultaneously creating new challenges around data, privacy, and maybe even market power.
It really makes you think about the ripple effects, doesn't it? Affecting global food systems, but also the individual farmers' data.
Yeah, technology as both solution and challenge creator.
So let's try and pull these threads together. We've got the U.S. guidelines aiming for safety and structure, NVIDIA pushing the boundaries of open source power with Nemotron 5, and AI transforming a foundational sector like agriculture. What's the bigger picture from August 2025?
Well, I think it really paints a picture of AI hitting a new stage of maturity, maybe, or at least grappling with maturity. You've got both ethical progress trying to build guardrails and practical progress seeing these powerful tools deployed.
And that governance piece seems global now. You mentioned the U.S. framework aligning with the EU Act, India's mission. Bloomberg noted that trend too. But as those experts pointed out, the rules are one thing.
Enforcement is another. Yeah, that remains the big question mark globally. How do you make these regulations stick consistently across borders and sectors? It's a huge coordination challenge.
And the Nemotron 5 discussion really put that innovation versus sustainability conflict front and center, didn't it? Amazing capabilities open to everyone, but at what environmental cost? And with what risks?
Exactly. IBM's focus on efficiency, the points raised by @GreenAI. It underscores that we can't just chase bigger models indefinitely without considering the footprint. There are real trade-offs.
Then in agriculture, you see the direct benefits: more food, less waste. But those privacy warnings from TechTarget and others are critical reminders. Practical application needs that ethical oversight, especially with personal or sensitive data.
It's a constant balancing act. And it's interesting, and McKinsey had a survey result showing that while tons of organizations, like 71%, are using generative AI,
Mhm.
only 1% feel they're truly mature in deploying it. That tells you we're still really early in terms of widespread deep integration. There are major scaling hurdles.
So lots of experimentation, but maybe not full operationalization yet for most.
Seems that way. And another interesting point from Stanford's AI Index. Development is diversifying geographically. It's not just Silicon Valley anymore. India, Latin America, other regions are becoming significant players.
Which is probably a good thing, right? More diverse perspectives shaping the tech.
Hopefully, yes. But ultimately, what August 2025 seems to highlight, with tighter regulations emerging and AI scaling up, is this critical need for accountability, ethical governance, sustainable practices. These aren't optional extras anymore.
The Guardian warned about fragmented policies too, didn't they? Calling for more global coordination.
Yeah, because the potential here is so vast, for good and potentially for harm, that ensuring the benefits are shared equitably, safely. It just demands that level of coordinated responsibility.
It feels like we're genuinely at an inflection point.
Mm-hmm.
These different threads, regulation, raw power, real-world application, ethical debates, all weave together to show AI evolving rapidly, but also a society trying, maybe struggling, to build the right structures around it.
Well put. It's not just about the tech itself anymore, but the whole ecosystem surrounding it.
Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive into what felt like some really crucial AI moves in August 2025. We covered the new U.S. safety guidelines, NVIDIA's Nemotron 5 release, and that quiet revolution happening with AI in agriculture.
Yeah, definitely a month that signaled a push towards more responsible, impactful AI, even with all the challenges we discussed.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you listening. As AI keeps weaving itself into, well, everything, critical services, daily tools, what responsibility do you think we all hold? Society, governments, individuals like us, what role do we play in making sure this AI future is actually fair and sustainable for everyone?
Mm-hmm. It's a big question, and probably one without easy answers. Definitely something worth chewing on.
Keep asking those questions, stay curious about the tech, and definitely keep tuning in for our future deep dives.